Hey guys, I'm Albo, and this video is a day in the life of a car exporter in Japan. I'm getting a headache with how cool this is. This is like Daikoku Futo times 10. Dude, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
I feel like this might dispel the notion that there's not a lot of JDM cars left. Because there's like thousands here.
There are, yeah. And you know, this just resets every single week.
Hey, I'm Albo. I came to Japan as an English teacher, then moved near Tokyo to pursue my passions. I became a filmmaker because I love cars, Japanese culture, and a good story. I'm lucky enough to live the JDM dream, and so my videos are about my car life in Japan, where I go to car meets and visit shops, do track days and toge runs, build and review cars, and shoot vlogs, short films, and documentaries about Japan's car culture and history. Join me and my friends on our adventures and find out what it's really like in the land of the rising sun. So hop in, fasten your seatbelts, and enjoy the ride.
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りしました。
Meet Jeff. Wake up, Jeff. Jeff starts his day just like anybody else around 7:30 in the morning, which would be about 2:30 p.m. in California. This is because Jeff lives in Japan. Jeff gets up to brush his teeth, and then afterwards he'll head to the kitchen to brew some coffee. This is one of the most strenuous parts of his day because he uses this fancy coffee contraption. This part can take a really long time, so I've fast forwarded and it still takes a really long time. Jeff then sits down to watch some videos on the ALBO'S channel for several hours before continuing on with the rest of his workday. On this particular day, Jeff is heading to the auctions, but his first stop is to pick me up at Daikoku Futo so I can tag along to film this video.
Alright,
You ready?
I'm ready.
Our destination is the USS Tokyo Car Auction House, which is about an hour and a half drive from Daikoku Futo.
So we're on our way to the auctions. Do you often get stuck in traffic like this?
I mean, it depends on the time of day when you're going. Usually, I mean, probably right now it's like an accident or something. Only 2 lanes here on the highway, so Japanese highway life. We're here, now we just gotta find some parking.
Are all these cars on the side here, these are all just parking?
Yeah, these are just people who are here visiting. There's a whole other parking lot over there. This is like the overflow. I mean, there are thousands of cars who are just driving here, you know, to be a part of the auction.
Are these all dealers and people who are looking to purchase cars?
Yeah, I mean, it really should be, the vast majority of them should be dealers.
Jeff runs his car exporting business with his wife, and his days consist of scoping out cars at the auctions for his customers.
Alright, so what's the plan?
We are heading to the auction hall right now. We just parked, and this parking lot is quite far away, so there's a little shuttle bus for us to take, and I guess we'll take it from there. So we're heading to the front gate right now, and I'm gonna have to sign you in so you can come in with me. A lot of people don't know, but the auctions here are not open to the public. It's industry only. So you're gonna have to have one of these bad boys to get in. This is the shuttle bus that came from the station. People who took the train out, so it's not even just people who drove here.
Alright, so we're in.
Yeah,
It's like a reverse prison break.
gotta break into this prison.
Yep. What's next?
All right, so we're gonna head into the hall. We need to kind of check in first, and then I guess we can just go around and start checking out cars.
As we walk around the auction today, you're gonna see an enormous variety of cars and just an incredible number of them. It just stretches all the way out into the horizon as far as the eye can see. All makes, all sizes, all types. It's incredible. Here's our first glimpse of the inside of the auction hall. It's fascinating to see all the people going about doing their business. So what are you doing now?
So we're just checking in for the day. So checking on what our bidding limit is. For example, like if we haven't paid whatever kind of outstanding balance we have, that's going to be lower than usual. And also it's like charging our lunch for the day onto the card. So I have like a credit for lunch. All right. So we're going to need one of these, which tells us where everything is going to be located for the day. So here's the main hall where we are. And then you can kind of see the cars by their lot number, where they're going to be. So that'll help guide us. Now we just need to figure out what cars we need to check out first. where they're located, what time they're being auctioned, and so we can kind of figure out when we can go out there and see the cars, when we can get back to the hall and actually bid on them, make sure that we're not late. That's all we have to do.
Are you here to look at specific cars that potential customers are interested in?
Yeah, so I've got like a list right here, a running list that kind of shows, like without showing any of the stuff on here, secret information, but yeah, I got a list of cars, targets that we're looking at. So yeah, we're all lined up and ready to go.
Can you talk about like how you made that list? Is like those are specific cars that you selected or cars that customers wanted?
So the cars on this list are cars that I've worked on with the customer as targets, cars that I knew that they were looking for. I've suggested, what do you think about these cars? They want me to go check them out, so that's what we're gonna do right now. And if they're into it, we'll do some bidding. All right, so this is where I keep my cars, just extra parking. So they keep these boys locked up, so us peasants can't touch them. It's actually a couple of 2022 GTRs here. Okay, so these are all the high dollar, high ticket items. 2022 Nismo GTR right here with the carbon fiber hood and that new color. Pretty slick. We've also got T-Spec GTR back there and just a lot of very, very nice cars. But these are the ones that we shall not touch.
So these are the ones that are up for auction also.
Yeah, all of these cars are going to be up for auction today.
Only today. So they bring them out for today, or do they?
Yeah, just for today. So the only ones that would be here like week on week is if they don't meet reserve or they don't sell for some reason, then the seller might decide to leave the car in here for next week and go again. But of course they need to pay every time that it's going to be up for sale. So they can't just leave it in here for years without paying, quite a lot of money.
I see.
This is not the section where I spend most of my time. As you can see, these are obviously bad boy cars. Here's that T-Spec we were talking about.
Who lists these cars here?
Who lists them? Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's going to be dealers. I mean, a private person can't actually do that by themselves, so they need to do it through a dealer. You can't just put your private car in here.
So this particular car, for example,
Yeah.
might be owned by a dealer and they bring it here to see how much it'll go for at the auctions?
Yeah, I mean, that should be the case. It could be like a private individual and then they have a connection through a dealer, or they said, hey, can you put my car in the auction? Let's see how much it sells for. And then they're taking some kind of fee. I mean, that's entirely possible.
So these days, the prices of these Japanese sports cars from the 90s and 2000s, they're rising quite a bit, huh?
Yeah, they're getting real expensive. I mean, it's hard to know where they're going from here, but yeah.
As somebody who works at the auctions, do you think the prices of these cars will continue to rise? And do you think for the foreseeable future, is there going to be a market correction, or are we just going to see the prices just keep going up?
I try to stay out of the speculation zone for that kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of people talk like they really know what's going to happen, like they have a crystal ball. I don't. And it's a really complex thing, and there are many market factors going on. But overall, I think in the long term, they can really only go up, talking long term.
Especially when you compare it to like the old Porsche market or the old muscle car market.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously demand is going to, it might fluctuate a bit, but overall, some of these cars that are kind of legendary, the demand is always going to be there from collectors, and the supply obviously will only go down from here. So you tend to think, again, over the long term, prices have to go up.
And some of the examples that we're seeing here of these cars are completely insane. Like behind you, that's a V-Spec 2 NER, and then there's a right here. It looks like it came straight out of One Gun Midnight. Like this is these two were probably placed here on purpose, but it's the condition of them is amazing.
I actually think this one's a little bit rare because it looks like it's a JDM one. It's a right-hand drive. And a lot of these old Zs that you see are imported from the US. So I imagine this would be really, really expensive. And it is beautiful.
So this particular car still has plates on it. Does that mean somebody owns the car and it's up for auction?
Well, it means that it's still registered. So it probably still has shaken, like Japanese inspection, still left over on it. And yeah, I mean, it does belong to someone. So for example, if it doesn't sell, they might just decide, Actually, you know what? I don't want to sell it if it didn't sell for the reserve price that I set. I'll just take it back and just keep driving it.
What is the price range on these cars looking like?
I can't share exact price details, but we're talking in the hundreds of thousands of dollars range for one of these. And I mean, only probably a year or two ago, it was maybe half of that. Brand new, how much were these cars? Like 6 million yen? Maybe $60,000?
Is it worth it?
Well, you know, you can't really say if something is worth it. It's a relative term. Is it worth it to you? You can say yes or no to that, but is it worth it to someone else and their money, their budget, their level of desire for that car? I can't really answer that. So we see all sorts of different types of cars here. So this thing's all custom. We couldn't even tell what it was a minute ago. So every type of car is at the auction. Weird, wacky, highly customized, super expensive cars, super cheap cars. What are we even looking at right here?
Clearly it was used for competition, maybe a rally.
To me, I think the auction is pretty much the world's greatest car show. Just the sheer variety of cars is astounding.
Where the cars are actually placed in the auction, part of it is decided by the seller, so they can pay a little extra to put their car in different sections, like this section right here. You know, they pay extra to have their car here at the entrance where everyone's gonna see it, and it'll get a lot of eyeballs on it and hopefully get a better price. So we've got some special cars here. Veilside Supra, pretty cool. And we get to see a lot of really cool stuff here. It's the largest auction in the world. I love it. It's like Disneyland for car guys.
I get the sense that the auction is kind of like where the most legendary cars, the most interesting, most crazy one-offs will go to change hands behind the scenes.
Just curious to see what's under the hood, but yeah, if we want, we could get the keys, we could fire it up and check it out, but I'm not interested in buying it, so I'm not going to do that, but I will have a peek.
So you don't have to mention the price, but in your opinion, is the price fair?
I mean, I don't know enough about this particular car, but to me, if it's like an actual top secret demo car, which I believe it is, definitely has some long-lasting value.
And it's the person or the company who's selling the car that sets the price. So it has to be at least somewhat in line with the market price, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not in line with the market, then it won't sell. It's that simple.
So what's basically happening here is that businesses like dealerships and exporters are buying these cars to then sell them to consumers directly.
Okay, so enough messing around. We actually need to go check a car right now before the auction time comes. And that's going to be in the manual transmission section, so let's go.
Exporters like Jeff get access to a system which lets them see information about all the cars at the auctions. But sometimes they stumble upon cars they want to check out on the spot.
You ever seen one of these before? It's called a Subaru Forester STI. Maybe you don't know, but maybe you guys at home know. Pretty cool. Let's check it out.
So you can just start the car? How? You don't have the keys.
This one has the keys in it already.
Let's say you have a customer who's interested in this car. Basically, what do you do?
Yeah, well, there's not a whole lot we can do in the auction, so we can't take it for a test drive or anything, but obviously we can start the engine, we can give a visual inspection, test all of the, power stuff, windows, locks, everything, make sure it's all working like normal, all the electrics. And then once the engine is warm, we can give it a bit of a rev out there and kind of listen, see if there's any kind of strange sounds or anything unusual. We can check the oil, what the coolant looks like. I mean, there's quite a bit. Definitely the underbody, you want to take a look for any kind of rust or corrosion. Beyond that, not a whole lot.
So how much further we got? Because this seems like it goes on forever.
It does go for a really long time, but we're not too far, maybe just a couple more minutes. But if you really want to keep walking, it goes for about 1 kilometer or so that way, so.
Look at this.
This is it, manual transmission section. So for hot boys like us, this is the section that we like. So as the name implies, everything here should have a manual transmission, which means it tends to be mostly sports cars.
I'm getting a headache with how cool this is. This is like Daikoku Futo times 10. Dude, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
I feel like this might dispel the notion that there's not a lot of JDM cars left. Because there's like thousands here.
There are, yeah. And this just resets every single week. Thousands and thousands coming in and out.
So when everyone comes to park their cars here, it's like the reverse of that scene in the Fast and Furious where everyone's like, pizza, cops are here, roll out. Oh my God. I'm just showing you like the first row, but it just goes on. Or how far? How many rows?
I mean, it's 4 deep right here.
Ah, okay.
But I mean, even outside of this section, there's a lot of cool stuff, which we've already seen.
Right.
And then even beyond this section, you can see a GR Yaris right there.
Okay. So guys, after we check out the car that Jeff is here to check out and also check out the auctions, we'll do the separate video where we check out all the cool JDM cars that are in stock this week. If you guys like it, we'll do more videos like this.
Today, there's a specific car that Jeff wants to check out for a customer, and this time we have to grab the keys from this building.
So we got the keys.
Right there. Yeah, so basically some sellers decide not to have it just with the keys in the car. Maybe they don't want people messing around with the car unless they're serious and checking it out. And so yeah, we just need to use our membership card to kind of show them I'm the one taking responsibility for this car and this key, and so let's check it out.
Was it all just a dream, just all in my head? Floating rivers upstream, the
So far, this looks like a really clean car. I mean, the grade is a grade 4, which at the auction, for a car of its age, that's about as high as it gets. So yeah, so far so good. Checks out to me, but we'll see. There's still more work to do.
There are lots of different ways to be a car exporter, but I really like Jeff's method of actually going to check out the cars himself and give them his own seal of approval.
Interior's clean, except for this. Handwritten.
Should leave it there. That's the real JDM.
So just looking at the interior here, this is much cleaner than the average Skyline of its age that you would see. And actually, we don't know what the actual mileage of this car is. It's unverified. So it has 101,000 kilometers on the clock, but I believe this one was switched from, yeah, it was originally an automatic transmission car. So it's originally a turbo, but it was an automatic. So they've swapped to a manual transmission, which I think is why they had to handwrite this little pattern right here. And it's also why they had to swap the cluster and that the mileage is no longer accurate, because it had like an automatic cluster before showing like park, reverse, neutral, drive, all of that. So we don't know the exact mileage of it, but I mean, you can see that it's not crazy high, and the owner seems to have taken really nice care of it.
Are you able to show the sheet, or is that private information? Like, is it okay just to have it like unblurred?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing like hyper secret here.
So one thing that's interesting, which we were talking about earlier, is the fact that the people who do the inspection actually are very meticulous about listing exactly what is wrong, at least from the standpoint of the people inspecting it. They're giving a fair assessment of what they think the value of the car is. And would you say it's reasonable is the ranking of the car on the sheet reasonably representative of the actual condition of the car?
Yeah, by and large, I'd say it's quite accurate. Of course, it really depends, and it's a matter of opinion. This is the inspector's opinion of the grade of this car. So what exactly does that mean? Well, they're taking a lot of things into consideration, including the mileage of the car, you know, the overall exterior kind of cleanness, the quality of the paint, things like dents and dings and stuff like that. Yeah, they kind of work out, all right, this is what we would call a grade 4. Its sort of overall value is like a 4. I mean, it's basically like that.
So it actually takes into account mileage.
It definitely does, yeah.
Didn't know that.
So, you know, honestly, there are inconsistencies even amongst inspectors. They're human, they're not perfect. But there actually is like a set mileage, and I don't have it memorized, but it's something like, you know, at 100,000 kilometers, anything above that cannot be like a grade 4.5, for example. Once you hit that mileage, like the best you can do is a certain number.
I see.
It's a little hard to tell if the AC is like fully working in the winter because the air is already cold, but yeah, that's cold. That's working.
That might be difficult to source, wouldn't it?
I don't think so. No, they still make them. Yeah, I mean, this car is like they made this model until what, 2002 or whatever, so yeah, it'll be available.
So can you talk about how the customer even found out about this car?
Yeah, well, we know what he's on the hunt for. And so a car meeting all of these certain criteria, honestly, every week there's probably only one or two that meet all of the criteria of what he's looking for. So it's not like that many to choose from if you get really specific in what you want. So I'm finding it on the database and I'm sending him all the information, the photos and everything, and he decided that he wanted to have a look at it.
Lets you know, hey man, I'm looking for this particular car or this type of car or within this budget, or he gives you his budget, and then you look through the listings and the inventory in the system, and then you come to him with some candidates and you say, hey, what about these? And then he takes a look at the information that's publicly available. And then if he really likes one, then you go and decide to check it out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean, always I need to ask people about the budget, like, and give them kind of an idea of what the cars are going for at this time. We don't have enough time to check absolutely every car that's available every week. So often it's just a conversation with the customers, just making sure that, okay, this car is going to be around this price. Is that okay with you? That is the market value. And if they're saying, well, no, I'd want something a little bit cheaper, then we just keep looking for something that maybe has a little bit more kilometers on the clock, or maybe slightly less clean condition, something that's going to fit into their budget, whatever it takes.
So what I'm getting from following you around for the past several hours is that this is a lot of work. I mean, you are basically boots on the ground, coming here, checking out all these cars, which, while it's super cool for us, for me, this is my first time here, and for you guys who are just watching this online, it's basically JDM heaven. But this is a real job, this is real work. You're coming out here and you are offering a valuable service to people who don't have the opportunity to come see these cars for themselves. You're checking it out and you're basically giving it your stamp of approval. From what I'm able to check out, I think this is a good car.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's the way that people feel, that they're getting, value from our service. That's obviously the idea. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love for me. And I'm sure for anyone who's watching this video, if you love JDM cars, it's that passion and that interest that drives you. And so for me, it's worth it. I'm having fun. So yeah, you'll notice there's some kind of clear issues on the carbon fiber, which is really, really normal. But for the most part, yeah, really clean. It looks good. Overall, I think good car, pretty clean car. And now we just need to go throw some bids down. Oh, dude, is that a high bar? Hell yeah, bro. High bar.
So Hype Bar is my new brand, which is meant to represent the ever-growing hype surrounding JDM cars and how they're worth it.
All right, so we're gonna catch the shuttle now back to the hall and we'll get bidding.
I hope what people get from watching this video is an understanding of how much work goes into actually checking out cars in person so that the buyer isn't purchasing sight unseen. Jeff is literally the customer's eyes and ears, and his experience going back and forth like this hundreds of times is what makes his discernment so valuable, especially when considering how much money the customer is spending, literally tens of thousands of dollars from across the pond. In part 2 of this video, we'll see Jeff actually bid on the Skyline that we were just checking out in the auction. He will have to compete with hundreds of other bidders in real time, and it's fascinating to see how the system actually works, so make sure to catch part 2 of this video, which should actually be live by the time you get to the end of this video. Keep watching or click on the link in the description box, and we'll see you in part 2.